Assalamualaikum warahmatullah and very good morning. First of all, I would like to thank you guys for watching this short video. I'm Dr. Al-Aarifin from Medical Education Department, School of Medical Sciences, University of Malaysia. Inshallah, in this 10-minute presentation, I would like to share with you about theories of motivations. Alright, basically this is a learning outcome for our discussion today. At the end of this session, inshallah, you will be able to define what is the motivations, and we'll be able to discuss about theories of motivation, important theory or popular theories of motivations. Right, talking about definitions of motivation, what do you think? What is a motivation actually? What is the words motivations means? Hanis, can you share with us? What do you think? Right? Okay, now, according to Oxford Dictionary, alright, the words motivations come from its root word motive, and motive means a reason people doing what they are doing, a reason for doing something, right? So the motivations is the reasons why people doing what they are doing. So that is a simple definition of motivations. And according to Mayer and Mayer to 1997, motivations is basically defined as a theoretical construct used to explain the initiation, direction, intensity, persistence, quality of behavior, especially goal-directed behavior. Right? So the reason why people are doing something, so that is a motivation. Right? For example, I tell you. For example, a person's respond to hunger, right, by going to a restaurant to get food. So the food there is actually the goal, right? People are going somewhere to get something, so that is a goal, isn't it? So the reason why people are going somewhere, that is the motivation, right? So in this case, the hunger is a motivation for these kind of persons going to restaurant, right? So now, talking about theories of motivation, there are basically a lot of theories of motivation, right? And the theories of motivation basically revolve from one time to another times. So this is a few theories that I've listed down here, and I think the first people are talking about the motivations is Vroom in 1964. He actually explained about expectancy balance theory, and then followed by in 1968, Porter and Loder introduced or discussed about important or very popular theories of motivation, which is intrinsic and extrinsic motivations, and followed by others important theories. And for today's very short period of discussions, we are going to discuss about the Porter and Loder models of intrinsic and extrinsic motivations, cognitive evaluation theory, as well as self-determination theory. The SDT, the one who actually emerged in this a few years back, since a few years back. So intrinsic and extrinsic motivations, according to Porter and Loder, the motivation can be divided into intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So what do you think? What is an intrinsic motivation? Right? If you look into this picture, intrinsic motivation is basically the reason people are doing something come from inside, internal. Right? If we ask our medical students why you choose medicine for your future career, if the student have intrinsic motivation, they will say, because I'm interested in doing medicine, right? Because I like to be a doctor. So this kind of answer basically reflect the intrinsic motivation. What about extrinsic motivation? Right? So again, intrinsic motivation, people doing an activity because they find it interesting and derive spontaneous satisfaction from the activity itself. So they satisfy, so they they get satisfaction by doing that thing, right? Whereas extrinsic motivations require an instrumentality between the activity and some separable consequences. Meaning that if people are doing something not because they like doing that, but because of other factors. For example, if our students, medical students, enter medical schools, if we ask them why did you choose medicine for your future career, the intrinsic kind of students will probably answer that question with the answer like I'm further my study in medicine because of my parents, because of I've been forced by my parents to choose this field. So that answer reflect the extrinsic kind of motivations. All right, this is basically important concept, and until now it's still acceptable, all right, by people. All right, but there are a few flaws or a few weaknesses or disadvantage of using this classification, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Basically, because of the assumption behind that theories. What is the assumption? The assumption for these theories is that when the extrinsic add to intrinsic motivation, the nature of that what we call the when we add extrinsic to intrinsic, the what we call the response is actually additive. Meaning that if you add extrinsic motivation to intrinsic motivation, the total amount of total motivation will increase, right? For example, if medical students enter medical schools with intrinsic motivation, they are interested in doing medicine, and later on we introduce extrinsic motivation. We give external motivation, external factors to motivate them more, right? So this is the assumption. When intrinsic motivation plus extrinsic motivation equals to increase total motivation. Alright, do you agree with that? Common sense, isn't it? Common sense. But surprisingly, it is not always true. Right? It is not always true. People found that studies testing the additivity hypothesis found that tangible extrinsic reward undermine intrinsic motivation. If you add some extrinsic motivation, it somehow will decrease or will diminish or will undermine the intrinsic motivation. Alright, it is not always will increase the total of motivation, because sometimes if you add something, some external factors to intrinsic motivation, sometimes it can diminish or it can undermine the intrinsic motivation, and then that will result at the end of the day, the total of motivation will decrease. So that is a problem, right? Therefore, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation can be both positively and negatively interactive rather than additive. Alright? It is not always additive in nature. Sometimes if you add extrinsic motivation to intrinsic motivation, what happens? The intrinsic motivation will decrease. Talking back about our example just now, medical students, first day of their life in medical school, if we ask them why are you doing medicine, because I like doing medicine, because this is my interest. I'm interested in doing medicine. But the thing is, later on you add some external factors. You tell them if you do medicine, you will get a good job. In the future you will have a better career. You will have people looking at you with full of admiration, for example. So people are respecting you. So we give extrinsic motivation. We keep giving them extrinsic kind of motivation. So it might undermine the intrinsic motivation. So that is a very, very important concept that we as a medical educators need to bear in our mind, right? So later on, people introduce what we call cognitive evaluation theory, right? Cognitive evaluation theory is basically theory respond to the flaws of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation introduced by Porter and Lawler just now. So the basis of this cognitive evaluation theory is based on these three psychological needs. All right. The first one, the need for autonomy. All right. The second one is the need for competence, and the third one is the need for relatedness. Most of the people, almost all of the people, physiologically, they need all these three, psychological needs, right? We want autonomy, we want to decide what we want to decide. We want to decide what is the best for our own self, right? And we also need a feeling of competence, right? And we also need feeling of relatedness, right? Relatedness means a desire to feel connected with other people, right? So based on these psychological needs, scientists psychologists basically introduce a cognitive evaluation theory, whereby a more autonomous motivation seems to relate to better quality of learning, alright, increased persistence and efforts in study, and better psychological adjustment of learners from primary school to higher education. It is not only true to higher education, but it's also for primary school students.